Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being present to this session for the Doers-to-Doers. I hope that you enjoyed the first part of the day, the solve shops, whether it was in tech, sales, HR. So now we're moving on to the other part. So the other part is the Doers-to-Doers. So for all of the people who has already been, and I think it's not a lot of you, who has already been in a Doers-to-Doers before? Yay! A lot of new people. That's great. That's great. So I'm excited for you to discover the format. So the format is actually a bit similar to the Solve Shop format, which means that the questions are at the heart of the format. So raise your hands. Emma will be here to take your questions. So for example, if you have a question, what I will do is I will give my mic to Emma. She will give it to you, and therefore you can ask your questions. So the idea today is that I and all of the team and all of us, we have managed to block these people for 1 hour. And it's really rare to have the occasion to block them. So we will squeeze everything and take all of the knowledge from them. That's okay with you guys? Cool. Yes. That's the idea. So welcome everybody to this Doers-to-Doers session, which is entitled Go Skill Yourself, kind of like a dairy way to help you overcome all of the scaling challenges that you can have. That is a very broad subject. Scaling, it's a very broad subject. It's actually growing. And actually, when you talk about scaling, some of the people think about 150 people, but what we know here is at Station F, we're not here yet, but we are already, as we grow over 3, as we grow over 5, as we grow over 10, we're already meeting some challenges. So first of all, I have a question for you. Can you please raise your hands if you are between 1 to 3 people in your company? Okay. Can you please raise your hand if you are between 3 to 10 people in your company? Cool. Can you raise your hand if you are over 10 people in your company? Cool. Okay. So you can see kind of like the scheme that we have. Today, I have with me Emilie Korchia from My Job Glasses, a former incubee of the HEC incubator. Emilie Korchia, right now you are 35 in My Job Glasses?
Yeah, we started, we were 2, and now we are 35. And we plan to be 70 in a year time.
Yes. And I remember when I talked to you, Emilie, and about the scale, like, can you teach people how to scale? She was like, can I learn how to scale? Like, I am scaling myself. But we thought that it would be good to have, you know, one sentence that we always say at the HEC incubator and at the telecom incubator, which is that the best advice that you can receive from someone is someone who has been in your shoes 6 months ago. So someone who's like, not at the top of a 2,000 people company, but someone who can really say, okay, this is what happened yesterday and how I managed to go through it. So thank you, Emilie, for your presence. We have another entrepreneur here who has been through multiple companies, which is Philippe.
Hello.
Philippe, can you say a little word?
Yeah, okay. So currently I work in a deep tech investment fund, growth stage, so it's you, but in a few years. And I'm the CTO. And before that, I scaled a few companies. Cinequa, who is a corporate search engine from 1 to, we're now 300 people. And then EverContact, who was more recently a startup from a telecom tech incubator, which we scaled from 1 to 30, first in Paris, and then in the Bay Area in California, and we sold to a New York company. So it's kind of doing the same thing. So you are the best stage. Really, you're lucky.
Enjoy the ride. And so in the Doers-to-Doers, we often have entrepreneurs that are here to tell you what they have been through. And so you can ask them directly, hey, I'm afraid of this. Are you afraid of this? Were you afraid of this? How did you overcome this? So this is the occasion to ask your questions to those entrepreneurs. And we also, because we're schools at HEC and Telecom, so we like to ask the professors what they think. And so we have experts that are here to tell you, okay, what are the studies that have been made? What is the theory around this? And how does what they have been through can apply to your startup or can apply to different companies than the ones that you see here? That is to give you like an interpretation of their own experiences. And maybe so that you can like have an image for yourself. And today we have Thomas Houy from
Hello,
Telecom.
everyone. Hello.
Can you say
Just a few words about me? I'm Thomas Houy. I'm what we call in French maître de conférence. It means that I have two jobs. The first one is to teach, and the second one is to do research about entrepreneurship, digital innovation. And I have a strong belief. My belief is that when you want to teach entrepreneurship or you want to do research about that, you need to be entrepreneur as well. So I launched two ventures. The first one in the early days of 2000, so it was a long time ago. It was a service company, and the second company I created, it's about the betting industry. So I'm sure that you're not too much familiar about that, but only people from UK and Ireland bet online. But we sold a software to help bookmakers to set the odds during the game, what we call live betting. And I supported a lot of startups during my curriculum. And what I can do while in this roundtable is just to give you insight about what the academic literature says about scaling. And if I am able to do that, I will be happy.
So first of all, I have a question for you. What is scaring you right now, or what is the frein? What is blocking you when you think about scaling? Anyone? I know it's hard. Yes, someone back there. Wait for the mic.
We're a company that's about 20 people, and we just started using Notion, company Notion. I don't know, how there's not much people in Korea that that regularly uses Notion, so we're kind of having trouble just communicating with each other with it. Do you have any advice about it?
Thank you.
So are you all in the same place, or are you geographically spread around?
Sorry?
Are you all in the same place?
I mean, currently most of them are in Korea, are in the same place. But
Okay.
yeah, but some of them are in foreign countries and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Okay. Well, one thing that worked really well for us when we were spread between California and France was doing a stand-up every morning, and doing all hands once a week, about 1 hour, trying to find a time that works for everyone. And after that, Notion, Slack, whatever. But it's more about being sure that we think every day for the whole company, because 2025 you can still do it.
Yeah, I would suggest as well using tools, but putting very clear rules, because I have the problem that you're mentioning right now, and we're all using Notion, and everyone is tagging me, and I'm not able, and Renal can, and they say, why, you don't know that? I tagged you on Notion. Okay, if 35 people are tagging me in Notion, I can't be able to know. So it's very important to put rules, either on Slack, Notion, etc. So as when you need to be tagged or not, and as well, what is important if you're 25 is to make sure not everything needs to go through you. And so you need to delegate and explain when people can take action, when they have to ask for.
Yes, thank you actually. So yes.
Maybe I can give you insight about the tools. In the academic literature, we always distinguish what we call tacit knowledge and explicit knowledge. Explicit knowledge, I can give you an example. If I give you an information, and the information is we have a meeting today at 9 at Station F, it is explicit knowledge because I can give you this information through an email. So it's explicit knowledge. But you know the coffee machine over there is broken, so you need to put your hands like that just to have your coffee, and your foot like that, and when you insert your coin, the coffee machine will work. What I just said, it's tacit knowledge, because I cannot give you this information through an email, except if I give you a playbook of 15 pages and something like that. And what is important is that with the tools, you can share explicit knowledge, but tacit knowledge is very important. During the scaling stage, I'm not sure that is that important to be in the same room, but if you consider ideation, just have new ideas, it's very important to be in the same place and just put the machine away from you, because it's very important to have discussion, can share this kind of tacit knowledge. So, and the other argument is too much information kills the relevant information, but you raised this point before.
Thank you.
Yeah, something else I tried when we were around your size with other contact was every week I would have a 10-minute face-to-face meeting with each of my direct report, and I ask them to do the same thing with each of their direct report. Every week, 10 minutes, not more. 10 minutes, and you have to write before, send me an email before telling what you want to talk about. And it did help. It did help for the tacit knowledge things and making sure that we're all coordinated.
And good luck.
Thank you very much. So I think that's a perfect illustration as to how one of the main issues with scaling is information sharing and tools to organize between ourselves. And when of course, when you grow apart, when you grow in several countries where you have difficulty like keeping everybody on the same page, but also within your own team, you're starting to have silos that are forming and information that is not crossing path. Emilie, I see that you're nodding. Can you tell us, is it like...
Yeah, the more you grow and you have like head-offs that are coming here and that are in charge of different teams, it's important to make sure that information flows top down and from the bottom to the top. And I think we're still struggling because we're getting bigger and bigger, and you need to change the way things are working. Things are not working the same when you're 10, when you're 20, when you're 30, or when you're just 2. So it's very important to change the way you're doing it as long as you grow, and try to understand as well what people want and what they need. So for example, we always have this issue with our weekly team meeting. For example, our tech people are not very happy to hear all the news about business and they think it's too long. And on the other side, if we do something very short to please them, then the business team thinks that, okay, you just give me information, but I don't have enough information to really know what I want to do. So you can't please everyone. That is something you need to learn. And then you need to try to find something that works for the majority. But the way we were doing it like 6 months ago is different as what we are doing now. And the more you grow, the more you have to listen to the people who are closer to the team and try to adapt so that everyone is happy. That's one of the examples I can share.
And thank you very much, Emilie. That sounds complicated, but what I'm hearing is that you need to really listen to what your team wants, and therefore trying to find things that everything cannot accommodate everybody, but you need to find things, for example, more extended meetings for the business people. You need to adapt a little bit. Philippe, is this something that you have come across all of the startups that you have built, or were some some experiences easier than others?
Well, it's a bit easier the second time because you've been through it once. Maybe the most important thing. How many of you are the CEO or the founders? Can you raise your hands? Yeah, so most of you. So your first job is actually to stay in good shape. You have to take care of yourself and be able to be there for your team. So that means taking personal time and things like that. Because I remember my first 3 months in California, my co-founder, who was a really dear friend, called me one morning and said, Philippe, what's happening? You're yelling at us all the time. You're always angry. Are we doing something wrong? And I realized that no, they were not doing anything wrong. I was just super tired and super challenged by being in this new country. And so I took a few days off, and it really helped a lot. So what you're saying is absolutely true. The process are going to change all the time. It's okay. Every 6 months is going to be a new format and things like that. The constant thing that you have to do is to stay in shape.
So that you can detect early on when to change to change systems. Does anybody else has another question about organizing? Yes, or another question even not about organizing. So. Her mic is coming so that it's easier.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Marion. I'm founder of Optimist Construction. I just have a question where we say a lot, like when we're scaling too fast, we're talking a lot about the too fast way. I wanted to know, like, when we say too fast, what does it mean? I mean by that, like, what the consequences and what will be like the first things which we go down, what the big mistakes, maybe communication, I don't know, like what does it mean?
Maybe I can give you insight about that from the literature in academics. There is a well-famous paper which was written by James March, and it was published in Organization Sciences. And the title of the article is Exploration versus Exploitation in Organizational Learning. So he asks a question to anyone, startups, big company, and he says, okay, is it possible to explore in the same time as you exploit? Exploring means try to figure out a new business model, new product, new processes. And exploiting, it's not in a pejorative way, it's just optimizing a business model you know very well. And the question is it possible to be ambidextre? Like, is it possible to do both? And well, a lot of researchers answer no, it's not possible. And I think that scaling too soon, it means that you try to scale when you are in the exploration phase. And well, I think that it's very important to know what you are scaling. Are you scaling the exploration phase, just having more people to try to discover something? Or are you processing your company just to optimize the business model you know very well? And so maybe there is this kind of angle or this kind of canvas you can have. Are you in an exploration phase or exploitation phase, just to know if you scale too soon? And there is a well-famous paper from Paul Graham. Paul Graham said the title of the post is don't scale. What's the title of the post? Do things that don't scale. Do things that, but it is very counterintuitive. Do things that don't scale. And the argument is that can I just give you an anecdote about that? I'm a jury in a lot of hackathon, startup weekend, and when you have some students in front of you, they always have the same idea to find entrepreneurial opportunities. They try to look at their day, they try to find pain points, and they try to solve these pain points. So it is always the same ideas that comes up, that arise. The first one is, the first problem of a student is the wake-up problem. So the idea is always the same. He says, okay, my alarm clock is connected, my coffee machine could be connected, so when the alarm clock rings, why not the coffee machine works? So it's a vitamin, it's a nice to have, it's not a must-have, it's not a radio pain point, so forget about it. The second idea is the idea I would like to talk about. The second idea is about the transportation. Students think that people are boring in the transportation. So what they want to do is solve this problem. And they have a first tilt in their mind, and they say, okay, that's great, because people are captive in the same bus. They are there during 30 minutes. And you can geolocalize these persons. So they always have the same idea, an ephemeral social network. Okay, great. Whatever what I'm thinking about this idea, let's take this idea. After that, what they are thinking is, whoa, that's great, because you have 5 million persons a day in Ile-de-France who take the bus. And you have bus not only in Ile-de-France, you have bus in New York, in Shanghai, all over, and they come with a massive argument. They think it's a massive argument. They say targetable market, 300 million persons. And I always say the same thing. That's great, nice argument, analytical argument. You are a great problem designer, but you are a bad problem solver, because what you haven't seen is in entrepreneurship, everybody means nobody. So in a bus, you have nobody. You have 300 million person. No, you have nobody, because you have my little sister. She's afraid to take the right stop because she takes the bus for the first time, and you have a tourist, you have a professional we're thinking about is the next presentation. So you have a lot of diversity in the bus. So the question is, do things that don't scale mean what the mistake of the students, and this is the mistake of a lot of large companies as well, they they put step 2 before step 1. Step 1 is just find a problem, just remove the stone of the shoe in the shoes of your customers. This is step 1. And if you think too much about the targetable market and stuff, you scale too soon. So again, be careful. Are you finding a problem, or are you scaling your company because you really know what you do and you try to optimize it?
Yeah, I did a lot of that, so I know all those mistakes. A few things that you don't want to do. Don't do PR until you're at least, I don't know, 50%. Don't hire a marketing agency until you're 50%. Don't hire too many salespeople until you have a lot of customers, because you're probably, as a CEO, as a founder, the person who's going to do the sale. And you do the sale as a founder, which means that it's not scalable at all, but it's fine. It's fine. Just get as many customers as possible. Don't over-engineer. I'm an engineer, so I love to over-engineer, but don't. Exactly. It doesn't scale. It breaks all the time. If it's good enough for your two first customers, that's perfect. That's perfect. Really focus on only 3 things. Find customers, give them something that vaguely works, and keep your team happy.
Do as simple as you can and go step by step, because we all made mistakes and we all hired people too quickly and then realized that they were not a good person for your company or for selling what you were able to sell. So do it step by step and make sure that your team is full and really that there is a need to scale before you scale.
Emilie, can you be more specific about the steps that you had to take during your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I can, but I will speak about the mistake we made, because I think that's more important. On the sales side, it's a very big mistake we made. So as you said, the CEO is the best seller, and it will be the case for a long, long time. And as soon as we started to have first clients, and because there were so many things to do, we said we were going to hire someone. And we started hiring people for the wrong reason. So we were looking for a salesperson, and we had this person coming from Doctolib, who had a lot of experience and great job title there. And Doctolib for us was, wow, the great startup. So if she comes to our startup, she will come with a lot of process, she will know what she does, etc., etc. So happy. And we went through a hiring company. Of course, let's spend money. And the hiring company is pushing the person and saying, oh, it's the best person, you need her, she will help you, blah, 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 blah. So we're hiring her. We never thought about our product that has not the same cycle of sales that Doctolib. And the person was not the good one, because we took her out of her expert zone, and she didn't know how to sell the way you need to sell my job glasses. And it was stupid. And then we took it back later on, and we thought about it, and we said, why did we hire this person? But we were in the scaling, and we needed someone, and we were sure we were doing the right thing. So if I can help you not to do the same mistake, I'm very happy. But that is one of the mistakes we made, because we wanted to go too quickly. We hear other people around, and you don't need to pay someone to help you hire the first people. You can do it yourself with job boards, etc. And we were sure it was the right move. Same thing, don't hire companies to help you do things. Try to do as much things as you can by your own or with the people you have in your team. And then after, the second mistake is not to understand that the people you're hiring, some of them will be with you just for a few times, and that's okay. Because your company, when you're 2, when you're 5, when you're 10, when you're 20, it's not the same company, and you don't need the same people. And some people are really good to be with you at the beginning, but they won't be good when you're scaling, and that's okay. And perhaps I didn't know at the time that that was okay, and I was trying to understand why they wanted to leave or why they were not as good as they were before, or I didn't know who to reassure the other people in the team that it was okay and normal that people were leaving. All those things as just normal, and one of the big advice I will give you is to try to speak with startups that are just a bit ahead of you, to understand what they've made, what they understood, what they realize, and get this 6 months information before, so that you leave it better and you're happier in the way you're managing everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Look around you. Those are your best friends and your best advisors. Some are a bit behind, some are a bit in front. They're up when you're down and vice versa, so they can really help you. Something else also is, it's true, it's super painful that the people you hire at the beginning will not stay with you. And it's normal because they were your direct reports, they build stuff with you, but as the company grows up, you're going to put more management, and sometimes it's they don't want to stay. And it's okay. It's okay. It's sad, but it's okay. Also, when you're that small, it's very difficult to take someone from a larger company. They may seem amazing, they may seem to know a ton of things, and they do, but they used to have a support system that you are totally unable to provide. So it can work, but it's super rare. It's better to take someone who was in a company or just a little bit larger than you are, but not 10 times larger, like a few more people on that did already the scaling, but not the scaling if you're 10, not the scaling 100 to 1,000, the scaling 10 to 20, 50, things like that.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have a question on another subject? Yes.
Thank you. Hello, good morning. My name is Mina from South Korea, and I'm doing the internship in France. At the same time, I'm the fashion founders in France. And as a person who doing a business in France, I just turned at the same time, that do you guys have any experience to targeting or approach the customer targeting in Asia, including the East Asia?
So actually at Jolt, we work a lot with Singapore on Thailand. I think you need a local agent to if you want to target Southeast Asia, you absolutely need someone on the ground over there.
Oh no, I mean actually do you guys have any experience to targeting the East Asia customer? Do you have any experience working in East Asia for Asia targeting? No.
No.
Because
sorry.
I have the question to the people who doing their business in the Asian market and to approach the European market, including France, it's completely different to enter. So I would like to know what can be the strategy to enter the French market to starting a new.
Okay, so you have East Asian companies and you want to enter the European market.
Exactly.
Okay. First, try to go with to contact the French embassies. The French embassy can help you, and especially the commercial attaché, can help you find people here in France to do that. That's one solution. The other one is large companies that have subsidiaries in France.
Yeah, so indeed, when you're in international sales, one of the best advice is to see what are the customers that are that you already have and that have subsidiaries elsewhere. But I think the question that you're asking is actually linked to a lot of the questions that have been asked since the beginning of the day around finding customers, because of course when we're talking about scaling, we're talking about reaching the customer. So just who has, and it's no shame, it's okay, no customers yet, okay? Who has already between 2 to 10 customers, okay? Who has more than 10 customers? Okay, cool. A lot of the questions that has been asked since the beginning is, how do I grow from, of course, there's always the 0 to 1, the first social proof. So in the sales workshop, we've talked about partnerships and giving names of your partners instead of giving names of your first customers in order to get introductions, and especially to talk. I mean, I will not do the social again, but to find around your network for your first customers. But we had a lot of questions on how do I build upon my first customer base. So the 2, 3, 4, 5 first customers that I have. And how do I reach out to new people?
So I would say two things. First thing is don't hire anyone until you have your first customer, or at least a first customer that say, as soon as you build this, I'll buy it, or that sign a paper for that. And the second thing is at this stage, there's only the sell by reference. Meaning your first customer, you have to ask her, who else can I sell? Who has the same problem? Introduce me to your competitor, your friends, whoever. Do a sell by reference. That's in my experience, that's the only thing that works. I'm talking B2B, enterprise sales.
I will talk B2B, but I will say something. I remember and I loved, I'm sorry to say that, I loved the time where we didn't have customers. I'll explain. I prefer now and the money that goes with. But I want to explain what I'm saying. When we were so small that we didn't have customer, what we managed to do is to have a lot of meetings that were very interesting with the good person in major companies, and we managed to have 2 hours of their time to be in the room with them and try to understand what were their pain points. And at the time when we had nothing to sell, they were very happy to help us, and they were very happy to give us all their pain points, all the things they've tried, their budgets, everything. And we took a lot of information that helped us actually create our product and our sales price, etc., etc., etc. When we started to have a product to sell, we didn't have the same interaction with them because they knew we had something to sell, so they were trying already to negotiate, so they were not giving us all the information. They were not in the same position. What I'm trying to say is use this time when you don't have customers yet to go meet people, try to understand really what is their problem, and try to get as much information as you can. And then start building with them something. They will be your first customers, and they will refer you to other person because they will be happy because they created the product with you. They are part of your adventure. And if you manage to do that, then you will have other clients. So that is something that I always remember as a time that I can't redo now, because when I arrive now, they starting to, okay, if she's asking question, it's because she has something to tell to me. When we were so small, they were happy to help a young starter. Oh, they're young. Oh, they want to change the world. Okay, let's try. And of course, they won't manage it, but let's try. So try to use that if you are at that time, and try to take as much time as you can with the people who will be your first clients, and give them a role in your adventure. They will love it, and they will support you. And now we have clients that were with us 7 years ago. They're still very proud to say, we were the first one. We were there before everyone. And then they will help you all the time. And just to give you an example, we've been like French Tech 2030. And a lot of our clients went on LinkedIn saying, hey, we were there at the beginning. We helped them. So do the same with them, and they will help you. They will be your customers a long way, and they will recommend other customers to you.
Yeah, absolutely. But don't stay too long on the no customer part. I know it's amazing. As an engineer, I did that for 2 years with one of my company, and it didn't work at all after that, because what we built there. But a lot of people will say, oh, sure, it's great what you're doing. I love it. Let's talk again. And they won't buy. So you need to talk money pretty fast. And ideally, have them sign some kind of LOI, which has zero value, but that kind of force them to think about what it means to deploy the solution actually. Not only money, because often the problem is not about the money. It's just that you have this great software, this great solution, they love it, it seems cheap, but actually their internal IT will not accept it, and they will never think about that unless you force them to sign something. So there's this great book, The Lean Startup, about it.
And if you create a POC, make them pay. A bit, but make them pay.
POC which are not paid as nobody. They will not even value it themselves.
And we did it again like 2 years ago because we launched a new product that was totally different from the product we had. And again, we loved to go and speak with 100 people, different companies, trying to understand their pain, how it's working, etc. And for the first one who joined us, there was a special price only for the first one, but they had to pay. And we don't do anything if it's not someone paying. Otherwise, you will stay for free forever.
I'm 100% aligned with you guys. Maybe just another way to say that is when you are looking for your first clients, don't process too much. Let me give you an example of that. Don't process your sales process, and let me give you an example of that. 10 years ago, I supported a startup whose value proposition was to give a pad to waiters in restaurants, like in a pizzeria. I'm sure that if you went in a pizzeria 10 years ago, the waiter is not coming in front of you with a pen and a sheet, but with a pad. And you know, the commercial argument to sell this pad, it's very easy because it checks all the boxes of the performance of the pizzeria. This is productivity, because if you have the waiter, you are not in the stairs, you just check the box like calzone, and the order is directly given to the kitchen. This is quality of service, because since the guy is not in the stairs, he can be close to the client and give some more breads or more water. This is safety, because if you just go upstairs 100 times per lunch, maybe you will fall down once or twice. So this is big data, so you can manage your inventory in a better way. So this is very easy to sell. And let me tell you the story. The first client came, and he says to the waiter, I would like a calzone. Okay, so the waiter is very proud with the new device, and he said, okay, calzone. But just before leaving, the guy said, sorry, with no mushrooms, please. And you have two cases. The first cases, I call that the Les Bronzés font du ski case. It means he said, oh, I'm sorry, but I cannot. It's like remove the cornichon in a Big Mac. It's very, very difficult. Why? Because, of course, people, they tried that the process was, well, people like software developers, they thought that the process was the guy is coming, he just sit down, he asks something in the menu, he eats, he pay, he leave. But, you know, young people, they say IRL. In real life, it's not like that. You know, people go outside and they are cold, so they come indoor, they change their table, they want to pay, but they want to invite for the coffee, the friends. And so in life, you always have exception, and you have the general case. It doesn't work, never. So that's why if you process too much, like if you delegate your sales process and you process too much, the problem is that you will try to catch the general case, but it's not like that, especially in the early stage of the company. So you have to deal with the exceptions always.
And that's why actually you, the founders and CEO, you have to be physically present at the sales process. Because if you send someone, even if that someone is super good, when he or she is going to come back and tell you, oh, you know, the product doesn't work because they always ask for mushroom, you're not going to believe it. You have to be there in the room with the customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a question here.
Quick question. Do you think that the scaling schedule of our companies, roughly early stage, has to be impacted by the current funding crunch? Or do you think the fundamentals remain the same?
Well, for small companies, I think it's not going to change a lot. The difference is that now almost all investors want companies where the horizon of profitability is not too far away. So now we are more looking at the cash line and what is your gross margin and things like that. For a small company your size, I think it's still, I don't know, I haven't raised money for a long time, and I'm a growth investor, so company which are 10 to 15 million euro revenue. But I think it's still okay.
What is your size of company?
Very early stage.
So it's business angel and very early fund like Kima. I think it's okay. What do you see at the incubator, Thomas?
I don't have feedbacks, but maybe you have people from the incubator of Telecom, but I'm not sure to have the answer. Yes.
No.
I saw the
Yes,
incubator
of
from
course. No,
Telecom
no.
Paris. Sorry, no. Don't get me wrong.
I know. I absolutely do not have like a very full and prepared answer to that, of course. But indeed, like what's happening on the market, when you're very early stage, there's a component in the investment, which is, do I like your company and do I trust you? Which is not the case anymore after you reach a certain. It's the same as customers. It's like at the beginning, people trust you and like you, and then you're a seller. No. Of course, they will like you afterwards. But but the link that you create with people is not the same. Now, I'm not saying at all that you only need love and trust to raise funds at the beginning. That's not what I'm saying. But interest plays a part, and so that's how it will more depend on the situation of each individual that you will have an interaction with. And I just want to say also there is a trend. I mean, I don't like the word trend because it's sometimes said it's negative, but the more the crisis has been going on and the crunch has been happening, a lot of people value the fact that they are what we call bootstrapped. Yeah. Exactly. There has been a lot of, the goal is to be a unicorn or the goal is to raise funds, because very often, and even us ourselves, the HC Incubator, we have said, our companies have raised 280 millions this year. They're so amazing. Because yes, it is a symbol of trust from VCs and from business angels, but it is not a metric of success. A metric of success of a company is, are you profitable? Yes or no? Are you losing money? Yes or no? A lot of the very big companies that you are hearing about right now are not profitable, and it's okay during the first stages, but some of the founders do believe that bootstrapping, which is to get revenue from your clients and your clients only, is the way to go. And that's actually one of the reactions that I had about people. It's like, I don't want to scale. I don't want to hire 50 people. I want to have more sales, and that's what matters. And some companies have a very steady growth rhythm, and it should be more valued. You don't have to double your team size every year, or as you say, you will scale too fast, and therefore not wait until you have a solid business model, as Thomas was saying. Just a ecosystem view on the subject.
Yeah, if you can go bootstrap, do it as long as you can, and then if not, try to find BAs that are easier at the first stage.
Yeah, but as you said, the first thing is you have no customer. You just have this idea, maybe a team on a few not customer, but targets that's going to say, yeah, it's amazing. At this stage, you can sell a dream. That's great. The dream has to have some kind of exit potential, but you can sell the dream. As soon as you start selling, the only thing that we're going to look at is your metrics. How many customers, what do they bring in, and things like that. So when you raise your first round, the one before you have any customer, you need to have enough money to be sure that you're going to reach, depending on what you're selling, but some revenue, because it's going to be very difficult to do it otherwise. And yeah, bootstrapping is great if it's possible.
Did you want to say something, or I can switch?
Maybe I can give you a investor point of view, but I'm not, so I'm telling that without under your control. But if you have a conversation with some funds, what they want is 3 criteria when they look at a team. The first is a team of top guns. Okay, fair enough. The second is to de-risk, so lower the risk of execution. So they want a prototype, not slides, but just prototype. So you don't need to scale to have a prototype. You can do, and it's better if it's not the case. So you can have this criteria without scaling. And the third criteria is a product market fit. It means that you are sure that, because they want to de-risk the no-go from the market. And if you scale too soon before having a product market fit, I think, but I'm not sure, I think it's very dangerous. And probably the VC will say, okay, the guy is kind of crazy because he's growing the team and he don't have any clients. So that can be something that is a fraud.
Don't scale before product market fit. Sorry, don't scale before product market fit. Really don't. No, on product market fit is paying customers.
And can I add that you have to scale thanks to data, thanks to proof. We are not in a game of belief, we are in a scientific game, and you need proof. So proof is product market fit, number of clients, metrics. And you cannot scale just with your believing that you are doing something very big. So you need to scale in a progressive way, thanks to data, and not thanks to your wish or something like that.
And we're speaking about selling and having more clients, but one of the things they will look at as well is the churn. Don't keep your clients, because having new clients, and you need to keep your clients, and they need to be happy, and they need to grow their revenue with you.
So it is almost the end of the session. So we're going to take one by one a couple last questions. So if you want to ask a question before the session ends, that's the moment to raise your hands. I know we have one here. If you have other ones, do it now, and we're going to take them all in a wrap and then answer after that.
Yes, for the very early stage companies, when you say bootstrapping is an option, how do you deal with competition and time to market in that case? Because you cannot afford, when it's a competitive market, to wait too long before raising funds to go fast.
Just if there is any other question before we end. Okay, one last.
So you said you need to go with your client and don't like rely on sales team too early. But at the same time, I want to know when it's the good time. What sign says like you can scale, you can let it go, and what are the key things you think you need to look at?
I have a really short answer about that. If you're asking yourself if you are in the scaling stage, it means that you are not. Because you scale to absorb a demand that is very high, and this is the moment where you can ask yourself if you need to scale or not. It's a very short answer, but
I would say the same. When you cannot do it yourself anymore, wait until the last minute. When it's really not possible for you to do it, and you need someone else to come and do it for you.
Yeah, when you're overwhelmed, when really the customers are calling and you're unable to answer. And for the other one, don't worry about competition, because either the market is big enough and there is a spot for you, especially at the beginning because you're so small, or the market is not big enough and then don't go. And the other thing, and it's actually good that there is a funding crunch, is that the company with a ton of money that we are selling almost for free, they're not going to be able to do that anymore. They're going to get, especially when they're big, they're going to have to be money positive, cash positive. So it's a good thing, but really don't look at the competition. Look only at the customer that you can reach. Competition, we don't care. Not at this stage.
Yeah, sorry, I had a question that came back. When is the right time to hire someone HR? When is the right time?
We still don't have an HR people. We have a talent acquisition manager. So that's when you have to hire so many person that you can't be doing it yourself. And at the beginning, it was our office manager was doing that. But we don't have like an HR person, and we're 35. So
yeah, in other company we invest in under 100, 150, we don't see any HR manager. Talent acquisition, sure. Yeah. The office manager is more important, actually.
Okay. For me, a talent acquisition manager is just someone who is hiring. It's not an HR person doing other HR things for your company, that you need to be more people. And when you will hire your first time, I would say it's when you cannot do it yourself, or your office manager cannot do it because it will take too much of her time.
Yeah, really. On even talent acquisition at your size, you want to go from 35 to 70, you need one. Before that, you're supposed to do it yourself.
You do it yourself or you outsource the HR part?
You don't outsource. Not at the beginning, at least. Don't outsource.
The only person
Maybe for tech developers, maybe.
and
but
for your head offs.
ah,
I mean, like person that are. That's the only reason why I would go outsourcing, but that's it. Yeah.
So, thank you very much. So from what I hear, from what you're saying, a lot of about scaling, it's about waiting for the right moment, not rush. And that's actually one of the first questions that came is, how do I not scale too fast? There is a scaling too fast, which is scaling while you are still finding your product market fit. And you should wait until the very last minute before you put processes in place, before you put people or even ask agencies to do it. And so you have to be aware of the place of the CEO that will remain central for maybe a little bit longer than you wish, maybe a little bit longer than you think. And so, okay. To conclude, is there anything that you want to add?
Yeah, listening. Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. I would say just look at your cash. Scaling never solve a cash issue. So if you don't have enough money to run your company, don't scale. Either sell or find an investor, but most probably sell stuff. Scaling never solves cash.
And think bootstrap, honestly. We when we raise money before, we hire too quickly. Now, before hiring, we make sure that we sign the contract first, that the money arrive, and then after we go and we scale. And really think bootstrap is the best way not to make mistake, I think.
If you want a reference, there is a conference of Guy Kawasaki. I don't know if you know this guy.
He was a customer of our contact. Super nice guy.
Yeah, okay.
Amazing.
And he did a conference about the top 10 mistakes done by entrepreneurs, and the first one is scaling too soon. And he takes the example of pets.com. So you are young, I'm not sure, it was in the bubble, internet bubble in the early days of 2000. And they scaled too soon. So maybe the corollary of that is don't raise money too soon. Because if you raise money, you will have a great temptation to scale, and it's too soon. But don't worry now, with the the problem of money, you will not have this kind of money for that. So there is no problem about that.
The risk is limited.
Yeah, it was a 3 years ago problem.
Fantastic. I mean, and what you could tell yourself is don't chase for investors too soon, because of course you're like, oh, I need money to build my product. Probably, but you have to try a different way, from what I hear. Thank you very much, Philippe, Emilie, and Thomas, for your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having shared your insights, your pitfalls, for having been vulnerable with us. I want to give really a special thank you to the public, because the reason why this has been so insightful and the reason why I hope you could take value out of this is especially because you knew how to ask questions, how to really dig into, pick our guests' brains as they are here. So thank you very much for coming so numerous and for your very active participation. I want, of course, to thank you all of the people that have worked with, of course, the Telecom Paris team and Emma also, who's here and who has done a lot in organizing the event, Yann, Solène, Paul, who's recording the session for all of the people, and of course all of the experts that have done the first part, the soul shops. So Emilie Benayad, not Korchia, Romain and Laurent and Hugo. So thank you very much for all of the help, and a very big thank you to Station F team and Nicolas, who's already packing things up, because he's the real man. He was behind all of this. So thank you very much, Nicolas, for allowing us to have this event. Thank you.